All right, hello, hello. How's everybody doing? Hope y'all doing great. Hope y'all doing amazing. All right, today is gonna be a little bit different. But before we go into that, my name is Chad. I'm a motion designer, and I'm doing illustration just to prove to people that it ain't that hard. It really ain't that hard. I mean, I'm getting better. I'm still shit, but we're getting to it. Actually, today I'm not gonna be doing much illustrating, and for that reason, I'm just gonna grab my pen. I'm just gonna grab my glove, and I'm just gonna do a little bit of like one drawing, because I have to do at least one drawing. Because after I'm done with this one drawing right here, we're gonna be watching a video. So it's not gonna be some like fun. We're not gonna be having fun here. I mean, we're all, we're having fun. I mean, I'm having fun doing this, excuse me. But it's gonna be related to drawing. That's what I mean. Okay, so just really quick, like a quick sketch. Doesn't matter. Okay, let's go with this one. So there's a knuckle pops out on the palm side when fingers flex. Does that even matter to me at this point? I don't think it does. Okay. Also, I fucking slept, by the way. Like, I slept, I overslept. And, okay. Shit. This is taking longer than I thought it was gonna take, but that's okay. Okay, there it is. Actually, blocking it out like this is not a bad idea. And I sort of just kind of nailed it, to be honest. I think. I relax, relax. This is it. That's it. Now, this does not look good, by the way. But yeah, I tried. Damn. Okay, we did this. Now let's switch to watching character design reference. This is the website. This is the visual library. Let's go to hands. This is hands. Let's just switch the screen real quick. Photoshop. Alright. So this is hands. Let's go to its Pinterest. Boom, boom, boom. Interesting. I'm trying to watch these videos, this video today actually, and the other one, these two, because this is the guy that I learned what is it called? It's a technique to like understand and draw foreshortening better. It's you know, I thought he was really cool, and I thought his advice would be valuable. So this is what we're gonna do for the rest of the stream. This is gonna be longer than usual. Well, my usual became like 15 minutes, so this is gonna be like what, 39 minutes. It's gonna be about 30 minutes because I'm gonna play it on 125. But yeah, I'm gonna stop the music and I'm gonna play the video. Let's see.
Hey everyone, Psychra here. We're gonna cover how to draw hands today. I know.
Let me just acknowledge the fact that this video is 13 years old. Am I tripping? It is 13 years old. Crazy.
Drawing hands is hard. But when I think about hands, I try and simplify it into 4 main shapes or ideas. The first is the palm, which is this wedge shape. Then I think of the wrist, and let's say this is the left hand and its palm side up. The wrist would connect about like so. So you see it's a bit in. It's not like this, and it's definitely not like that. Anyway, then I think of the thumb, which connects like so. Notice there's 2 angles. It goes this way, then kind of bends that way. And then the fingers. And to start with, we'll just consolidate the fingers into one big shape. And that's how I like to think of it anyways, like almost like a mitten shape. How high do the fingers go? Well, it's about, let's say, this distance. It's a bit less than that. And then you would divide this to 4. So here you have a basic hand shape. It's a bit crude, but it serves the purpose. Now, out of these shapes, the most important would be this shape, the palm. That's where I start from, and I think of it as, or we'll call it the wedge. This wedge shape it's the base, it's the foundation whenever we start a hand. So let's go into this in more detail now. So let's look at the wedge shape now from some different points of view. We've already seen it, the way it looks like this. Let's see the side view. Pretty much, it's just a rectangle that tapers a bit towards the front. So here's where the fingers would come out. Here's the wrist. Now, if it's pointing directly at us, this is where it gets interesting, because the shape has a curve to it. So let's say the fingers are coming out from here, and you have this curving, bending happening. It does get flat if your fingers and your thumb are spread out, and you can probably, use your own hand and try it. Spread out your fingers and you'll notice your palm flattens out. But for the most part, it looks like this. So the hand tends to take on this shape with the, I guess this is the back of the hand and fingers are coming out from here. So it would be a good idea to practice just drawing that shape in different positions. Remembering that it curves, and this is where the wrist would be, this is where the fingers come out. Pretty much just, I don't know, fill up a page. I don't think it's too hard to get this basic wedge shape down. Other than the curve, there's the bending part, it's not too complicated. So let's go on to the wrist now. Alright, so we already know that the wrist is a bit to one side. I mean, it's not dead in the center. Now, where it gets more interesting is when we look at it in a side view. So let's get the wedge down. Alright, so we already, other than the curve, there's the bending part, it's not too complicated. So let's go on to the wrist now. Alright, so we already know that the wrist is a bit to one side. I mean, it's not dead in the center. Now, where it gets more interesting is when we look at it in a side view. So let's get the wedge down. Fingers are coming out of here. Now the wrist actually connects to the hand in this way. So let's say this is the wrist and this is the arm. I'm not going to go too much into the arm because we're dealing with the hand. So I'm going to simplify the wrist pretty much just like this, a basic boxy shape. But notice how it goes this way and then it dips down and it goes this way. And then you have the fingers here. But this is really important, the way it dips down like this, because if you did it so you have your wedge shape here, and then you have your wrist here, and this is what I see a lot. And I used to do this too, I used to make this mistake all the time, but it's just flat. This won't look right. This isn't the way the hand and the wrist connect. So you really need to have it in your mind that the wrist is higher than the hand, and the hand goes lower, and it steps down. And if you've read Bridgman books, you already know all this. But if you haven't, that's what this is for, to explain that, yes, it dips down. And if you're drawing the hand in an unusual pose, or a more complicated pose, so fingers are coming up from here, this is the wedge shape, then remember that the wrist is going to be a bit off to one side, and it's going to go higher. And we'll go this way, step down, then go this way. Okay? Alright, so now we know about the wedge, we know about the wrist. What's next? Thumb. So let's just build on it. Start with the wedge, get in our wrist. Thumb comes out like so. Now, from a side view, let's say the thumb is closest to us. Let's get down the wedge shape. And let's say the wrist is here. The thumb is actually going to be a bit below. It comes out like this, so we go this and then step down. And then from the other side, it would look like, here's the wrist, here's the wedge shape. Like that. You would see a bit of that, the fleshy part of the thumb, which is this part, because it is a three-dimensional shape and it's coming out just like the thumb. And finally we deal with the fingers. So get our wedge down, our wrist, thumb, and remember that the fingers are just a bit less than this height, so double it, go a bit down to where the fingers are. Now, you'll notice I didn't draw it like this. I had an arc here, and that's because, as you know, the middle finger is the longest, and then little fingers, the pinky is the smallest, and so it creates an arc. And by putting that in, it just helps you keep those proportions right. Now, when I draw hands like this, with the fingers, I think of it as having an anchor point right here. And the fingers radiate from this point. And right now, the fingers are all together. Let's say they're not. Let's say the hand is spreading the fingers out. Then I will use this as a guide. I'll say this. And so, fingers come out from one point. Of course, that's just for this position, but I don't know, it helps me to think of it like that. Now, what about when the fingers are closed, when you have like a fist? Well, see these radiating lines? Basically, you just take this and you fold it, so they still follow those lines. Just now they're pointing towards that anchor point instead of going away from it. And with the thumb, we're having fist. This portion stays the same, but then this part is going to bend in. Okay. Now we're going to have to go into a bit more detail with the fingers, and so what we have to do is, let's get the point down. We need to bring the knuckles into the equation, and they are within this wedge shape. They're not on the edge here, right where the fingers connect. They're actually within the wedge shape. So this is the back of the hand. The wrist is coming like that. Remember that the wrist is higher, so you'd actually see the thumb going underneath. But anyway, so it's important to know the knuckles are within that wedge shape. And so let's say we're drawing a fist and it's pointing towards us. You would have your knuckles here. But because they are within that wedge shape, you see you have some space. Let's see if I can make this more clear. You have some space between the knuckle here and where the finger is. You have a bit of space, so you'd have the same amount of space here, here, and here. So your fingers would actually start. What I mean is the crease would start like here. As opposed to drawing it like this, which I've seen done, and having the knuckles here, but then connecting to the fingers without that space. I think you can see, it just doesn't look right. Okay, so let's zoom in on the fingers now. Let's say here's a finger and here's the palm, the thumb, palm. To find out where the creases are in the finger, when the palm is facing us, it's really easy. You just take the finger and divide it into 3 equal parts. Make some space, put another finger and just divide it to 3 equal portions. And that's where the creases are. It's a bit more tricky when you flip the hand over, so now the palm's facing down. So my thumb's here. Well, we can't just conveniently divide this from here to here into 3 to find out where the knuckles are. Because the knuckles actually are, well, this crease is the same. So the knuckle would be right here and right here. But here it goes in front of that crease, so here. And here, as we've already stated, it's within that wedge, so right here. And this looks a bit ugly, but when you really draw it, because there's a bone here, bone here, bone here, you would probably, well, the way I do it, just tend to indicate the knuckle here and have some crease lines here and some crease lines here. Actually, I never really put in those lines. I guess if you're drawing a man with gnarly fingers, then yeah, you probably add those. And you would have your fingernail here. And with the fingernail, we zoom in close. I usually just indicate it like that. I don't draw it like this. Like, I don't stress it. I know there's some artists, I think Steven Silver, he sometimes just draws it really light, but in weird shapes. But anyway, so why is it like this anyway? Why is it so this way the creases are evenly split and here they're not? Well, if we view it from a side view, so here's the finger, here's the knuckles. The reason that this one's a bit in front of that crease, see? This is where the crease is, then here's the knuckle. Here's the knuckle. This is in front. This is behind. It's just so that the finger can bend. You need it to be able to bend. And it's all going to one point again, just like in the palm. We had the fingers coming to one point. Yeah, I know there's not that many fingers. Okay, moving back to the wrist. Needed to cover something else. So here's the wrist, here's the hand. Remember, it's stepping down. We need to see how the hand can bend. What are its limits? When it's bending down, your hand pretty much can bend straight down almost. So here's the wrist, your hand bending down. Here's the fingers. On the opposite side, we'd have the thumb. It can't bend up at the same angle. So if here's the wrist and we want this to come up, it will actually hit the bone at a point and it will be restricted into how high it can bend. So it can only really bend about like so. And what's the big deal about that? Well, right here, you'll notice that it creates a bit of a bump. So what happens is when you draw the wrist, you have to factor that in, because it affects the shape. You end up with it looking like this, and say the thumb is here, fingers are, I don't know, coming here, shooting out something. So I think now I'll just do some hands in different positions. Start with the wedge shape and say the thumb is here. Wrist, maybe they're waving. And what else? Maybe let's get some foreshortening in here. So I know that's always difficult for people, myself included. Get the thumb in there. Fingers are coming out. And I always add little circles, I guess, as guides. I don't know, I can kind of feel where the finger should be when I add those. some knuckles. And let's get in some fingernails because that will help to describe what's going on. Hands kind of coming out like that. Okay, I know I forgot something. The difference between male hands and female hands. Pretty much, I start off the exact same way. Male hands are a bit bigger than female hands, but the construction is the same. Just that when I deal with a female, I'm going to be more graceful with my lines and not put in much information. Keep the fingers thinner. A bit more tapered towards the front and fingernails. It's terrible. And with the male hand, it's just going to be more chunky, and it's okay if I stress some of these knuckles. I think it's in some ways easier just because you don't have to be so careful. Things are just more, stubby and fat. You can suggest the knuckles here. Alright, let's do some more. Let's see. Maybe it's a woman and she's got her hands in, I don't know, some kind of elegant position, so, with her little finger up. And the rest not. See, if the fingers are together, I just kind of block it in as one shape, and then kind of separate them like that, so not completely separated. I think it looks fine that way. Okay, let's do a hard one. Maybe guy and he's I don't know, like grasping something, kind of wrist coming down. would have pads for the fingers. I'll talk about that a bit. Okay. Here's the palm. Here's the pad for the thumb. Then you have a pad here for the little finger, or that goes towards the little finger, and then you have another pad here. And you have lines that come like this and whatever, those people who read your fortune or whatever. Anyway, remember that, okay, if we can see through this wedge shape that we've drawn, we would see those 4 circles. So I'm imagining the fingers coming out of that circle and pointing up. Doing that, and maybe this one starts to come towards us, and it's going to be pointing to that anchor point again. So maybe it's coming like this, and then this one. Let's clean that up. So just with a fingernail, how these fingers are moving. Okay, let's do some more. Let's do a thumbs up. So, start with the wedge, the wrist. So it's coming down like this. Then you'd have the thumb up. Get that point, and all these fingers are bending down. Okay, good job. That's what he's saying. More like this, I guess. Yeah. And here's something I do. Tend to shade in where the finger bends so it looks like it's going this way and then it comes that way. Okay. Maybe let's do one where he's holding, I don't know, a ball. Start with the ball, then get the wedge shape, and it's fine to simplify it to more stick figure type stuff. Something is not right about this. It all looks too flat. I know, because of this. There we go. Something's not right. Fix it. That's a bit better. That is a horrible ball. Wow. What are you doing, man? That ball sucks. I know. I don't know what's happening. Jeez, I don't know what you are doing. Nah. Okay, good enough. Just going to quit on them, huh? Yep. After a while, you can get more sketchy with these when you have just, I don't know, when you're just a bit more comfortable with the wedge. You'll start to understand kind of how the hand works. Say they're holding a sword or something. Let's just do a more, I don't know, creepy head. And I think that's about it. Thanks for watching.
Wow. This is great. Why structure matters. Alright, that's it for me. Oh shit, I didn't see a chat. Well, Fatima Zaid. Well, hi, how are you doing? Okay, I'm just gonna write it in chat, but I'm gonna leave anyways. Hello. Alright. Peace out.